Nice to have you here. Thanks so much for taking your time off busy schedule that you have here and share some of your hard-won wisdom. So, a very warm welcome to you, Harry, and we are very excited to have you on our podcast.
Hey, Lydia, I'm very happy you invited me. It's very exciting to have somebody talking to me from Asia. I'm very happy. I've been there for a long time.
You have been in Asia, yeah. We'll cover that in a little bit, and so we just on that point. Let's start a little bit with your background, which is really wide and extensive. You've had over 2 decades across multiple countries and many roles. Yeah? So you were born in Greece, and then you started your career in Belgium before moving into Asia and probably other countries. But in Asia, you spent a vast amount of time in Singapore, Malaysia, Philippines, and then Myanmar. You are also a business leader and entrepreneur with experiences across multiple fields and verticals. You've been in project management, business solutions, marketing, and recruitment now. And today you run two companies as its CEO and also COO. So perhaps you could take us through that journey, Harry. What inspired you to take one step to the next? And maybe tell us a little bit about what you do today.
I come from a very small place in Greece called Rhodes. It's usually touristic, and it has 160,000 people, and there are 2.3 million tourists at any time. So everybody's on tourism. But me, I didn't have anything to do with tourism. I didn't have a hotel or a restaurant. So my parents told me, "What do you want to do?" I said, "Study." Okay. So I went to the UK to study, and coming back to Greece after doing my degree and a master's degree, I realized I cannot practice my skills. I want to see more. So I went to Belgium, where I stayed 6 years. I worked for large corporations. Namely, Sony Europe was the last one. I stayed with these guys for about 4 years. Before there was a startup, before it was a standards organization. Belgium is very big on this kind of companies. So, and I worked with digital all the way from the beginning. So we're talking ancient times, 99, ancient times. Digital, was like a new thing. Nobody wanted to do it.
At the cusp of turning digital, it's a very important period in time, right?
Yeah, boring for experienced executives and very exciting for the new people. So then in Belgium, I had my family there. I was married, 2 kids. So I said I go back to Greece, where I spent 6 years. But it was not a career move. It was more of coming to the place, to the family. However, I changed a couple of companies in Greece too. And then I was employed by a company which was in marketplaces. Now it's a very big company. Even at the time it was big, but it was not known in Greece. So in Greece, I was the number one employee. This company today is called Adevita Shipstead. Just to give you an idea, they bought eBay Classifieds about a year ago for 8.6 billion, I think,
so
US dollar.
You were employee number one, Harry?
Employee number one for the Greek operation, okay, not for the whole. So when they opened in Greece, I was employed there at digital marketplaces. I stayed there with them for 2.5 years in Greece, and then when the crisis hit Greece, I moved to another operation they had in Singapore. In Singapore, they had a joint venture with Singapore Press Holdings. So basically, in this, it was the hub of Singapore, and we had big marketplaces. Or Muda in Malaysia, for example. At the time, a company in Indonesia, which today is merged with OLX, the biggest marketplace they have. The same in Philippines, sorry. Also, we had the same in Vietnam. So big market, they call them horizontals, we call them. People can buy from, a coffee cup all the way to a house, through this. So I worked with these guys for 3.5 years in Asia. And after that, I moved to Malaysia as a base, where I was in a startup. I was responsible for marketing. It was a very interesting company. So the movement happened because of a need, basically, and the movement of the markets. So economy basically pushed me around. I couldn't stay in one place, so I said I have to do something else. So I was moving around with the economy. I was following the flow of the economy, from Europe to Asia and there. And then from bigger companies to startups, and then back to a bigger company. So I was a CMO in Malaysia for two companies as a hub. We were operating in the region. And then after doing my time in fintech as well, in Malaysia, I became the CEO for a company in Myanmar on recruitment. It's called MyJobs. I'm still the CEO of this company. This belongs to a big group called the media group in Switzerland, called Ringier. is a family business which is about 100 and I don't know, 180 years old or something. It's really big. 100, if I don't make mistake, 184. So there's a family business which is half is media, pure media. They have 130 brands, and the other half is marketplaces. Marketplaces is part of these 130 brands, and we operate in Europe, in Asia, and in Africa. And because of after staying in COVID times in Myanmar, and after having a military coup in Myanmar, my company said better stay in Greece, and to do work remote. So then remote work, COVID times, political situations, and then they told me, can you help with Africa? So in Africa, I worked from last year in Ghana, in Kenya, and I was CEO for a company for a short time there, and now I'm the number 2 in the African operations as a COO for recruitment. So again, recruitment in Myanmar, recruitment in Africa, under one bigger company. So traveling is there, digital is there, remote working is there. At the moment, I'm in Kenya, for example. I'm in Kenya for a week, 2 weeks. Yeah.
So it's really very current. Your experiences have been very forward. In fact, starting from 1999, moving to digital and across different continents even. So the multicultural work environment would be very familiar to you. You're speaking to us from Kenya, right? So MyJobs Myanmar, and you're also COO of the African Talent Company, which you say are both under the same parent company from
Switzerland.
From Switzerland, right? So what might be the main business focus for both MyJobs Myanmar and also the African Talent Company? Where is it headed to right now?
Our job here is to find jobs to people. So we have the 2 parts, or 3 parts, you can say. One part is the online platform where people can, business can post jobs. People can go and apply for the jobs directly. So it's a self-service system. We have also executive recruitment. So somebody's looking for, head of marketing or a C-level suit or a specialist in tech either is in Myanmar or in Africa. We do the same business, actually. And the third part is outsourcing. So what we do, we look after the payroll. We will try to make sure your staff is on time. So we do all this integration for companies we want. Usually these companies can be call centers or banks or people who have these kind of operations in bigger numbers. We even have people looking after, wildlife in, I don't remember which country in Africa, but we also outsource this.
So there are 2 types of, basically 2 continents. One is in Asia and the other is in Africa. So what might be the interesting insights you have for executive recruitment, for instance, that you've seen maybe in both sides? What might be the difference or the similarities?
Yeah, for example, in Myanmar, okay, the time has changed a bit through the last change of regime last year. You had a lot of Asian expats going around Myanmar. I found people working, managing hotels from Malaysia and in Myanmar. I found French expats, for example, looking after companies with dairy products in Myanmar. Yeah, so there's a mix of Asian and Europeans in this part. In Africa, you have also a similar situation where you have local expats moving different countries, and also you have people coming from Europe for that. Of course, a big time, maybe you can see bigger because it's natural, Indian expats in both cases, because of the sheer number of population. It's a big country, so the people try to find jobs in different places. So, but it's not very different the way people react. Tech is more difficult to find people. Negotiation is more difficult for example, heads of plants, for example. So you need 3 to 6 months if you go for high-level positions. And if you for short-term, for smaller positions, people for maybe 6-7 years of experience, maybe you need a couple of months. Yeah, but it's not very, very different. I want to say it depends on the interest of the country. For example, in Myanmar, there was not too much tech. It was more about producing from clothing, have natural resources and everything. Here, for example, in Africa, there's a lot of digital money. A lot of tech companies doing that. The first place where digital money came up was in Africa, and it's like a huge thing. with not smartphones, we're talking about the old phones, sending them codes to make money going around. But it's similar. It's not very different.
Yeah, that's interesting. It is, after all, a cross-boundary world we're living in. So a couple of years ago, my job MyJobs released an interesting report. I looked at it and I found it quite insightful. It's called the 100 Great Places to Work in Myanmar. So, what inspired this report, and what might be some of the key findings you could share?
We wanted to have a point of reference for companies which relate not to how much we spend with us, but to what your employees say. So usually, I mean, you can get a nice award if you sponsor an event. It happens very often. I mean, it's not a secret. I mean, if you give more money, maybe you get a reward. But so in our case, what we did, we just went basically more democratic. We opened up the system, and we asked people from companies to vote for their own companies. So we check the email addresses, for example. We check things like this. So you use startup social media like Facebook. I don't remember if you use Instagram. We use Viber, I think, because very popular in WhatsApp in Myanmar. So, I mean, we realized that some of the big brands are were respected. Like some telcos, very well respected because they have big infrastructure in terms of looking after the staff. It's like, and some companies because they either work very closely or cooperate very well with more international companies, they import best practices. I mean, it's not a secret that Myanmar is a young country in terms of doing business. So when you have a company coming from Europe or from I don't know, from Malaysia or from Singapore or from the US doing business there, they try to import how they treat their staff, about how they evaluate the staff, how they pay their staff. So we found out that the companies which are trying to go higher in standards and learn from abroad, because again it's a new economy, they were having better results. Yeah. So this was the finding from there. Maybe it's a different story if you do this, for example, back in Europe. Maybe small startups in Europe can have better rates than the big ones, because it's a different system.
Yeah, that's actually a really interesting point because talent retention is a big challenge. And so you want to give the best experience to those who are working in your company, especially now when we see so mass resignation, so many people are leaving their jobs, and we've been seeing this in the past 2 years. So in terms of employee retention, some of the insights you may have gained, what might be the best practices or strategies to ensure that people are staying in their roles within the company and are happy in the company?
A big thing was, who's your boss? What does it mean if your boss is good? What does it mean good boss? Good boss is a person who respects you professionally and as a person, is a person who will be transparent with you. For example, say, okay, I can pay you so much. No, so people respect this kind of thing. So it doesn't mean somebody who pays you the most. So important factor was basically the management, how they treat their staff. Is about respect, is about salaries, is about working environment, and understanding some maybe personal situation. For example, a lady has babies, maybe she has to go home earlier, and people shouldn't complain about it, Or somebody maybe had an accident, or there was for example, in Myanmar, a lot of us is a big event when somebody dies in the family. We're talking about thousands of people, going, or weddings. So it's very important to respect people's personal obligations and allow them to do this without too much fuss. And then people will build loyalty back, and then they will help you. So when the manager looks at the long term with the staff, then it works. So the people stay in the company. This was basically more, about how am I look after in my working environment for my boss, to have space to work, and do they respect my rights, and the salary, of course. But it's a combination of this, more or less.
Yeah, especially, I mean, these factors are so important today and even in the past 2 years because one, we've got mass resignations happening, and then second, there's a pandemic involved. More and more people are working remotely, and it's been very challenging, especially for companies that were not very prepared to face remote working or hybrid work. So, in terms of navigating these challenges, also related to talent retention, what might be some of your experiences navigating the pandemic professionally, managing your team and ensuring that there is a cohesive work environment?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, my jobs comes from the Swiss background. So how we used to do is like, okay, Switzerland, is like is a different environment of working than many places in the world. So they say, we want to go hybrid, or we want to do this, we want to do that. So we try to get these policies on the ground. And I used to check with the staff. I say, guys, listen, we cannot keep more than 30% or 40% of the staff at any time. Are you okay with that? And then I will consult with the staff and try to see which functions can stay or not stay, or who can be outside. For example, the sales team, they don't need to be in the office. They can be in their house and they get to the customers. The results are very specific. IT teams is the same. Maybe in the office you need people who are doing maybe accounting or finance because they need a quiet space, and it's very confidential information. Sometimes HR. So it was more about trying to see what is the best practices from the mother company, and the mother company never told us you have to do this. They told us this is what we practice. What do you think? So in the same way, I transmitted this to the staff, and I said, guys, what do you think? This is what is for the. So the priority was basically the health of the staff, the security of the staff, and the results of the company. So because if I put the results of the company first, and I have no staff to deliver, then I cannot do it. So so it has to be a combination, and people are realistic. I mean, I think that people I work with in Myanmar, 8 out of 10 were quite pragmatic. You just need to talk to people. It's about communication.
No, it's it's about communication, and also effective communication, making sure that even though people are away, that you're still communicating these policies and differences and making decisions based on their circumstances as well.
Yeah, I mean, I was very lucky that my head of HR, the last one I still have, it was really proactive, coming to me, say, Harry, we should have a town hall, we should do updates to the staff, we should have awards. So what I did, I tried to create the environment where people can speak up and basically, practice what they think is right. And people are not stupid; they're very smart, but sometimes they're afraid to talk. So if you allow people to do and consult with them, then you will build up your team. So that was very important, this kind of teamwork, and allow them. Of course, nobody has the experience in everything. That's why I'm asking specialists, and that's why people ask me for something. So I would say it's an interactive work. If I see a gap, for example, I give an example. If I want to build a product manager to a certain level to work with the team we have in South Africa, for example, because we work in different or in Zurich, then, and I know this person it doesn't have yet the level or the training, I will try to handhold a bit in the beginning and go through the process. And normally people are positive and they come back. So you have to show by example, and then they take over. So I think showing by example is very, very important. Is to practice what you preach.
Completely agree with that, especially when you have more and more people moving upwards into managerial positions or supervisory roles that require them to lead others. And so, in the face of the pandemic, I think this is absolutely crucial. So I totally agree. And there's also the challenge of using more and more tech tools, and this also requires a lot of savviness in terms of how fast you can pick things up. So on that note, if we could just move into the recruitment space right now and look at tech recruitment, because many companies in the face of the pandemic have had to digitalize, and they've had to basically become data-driven tech companies. So what would you say in terms of recruitment might be the top 3 challenges that are facing tech recruitment today? Those who, you have to hire a cybersecurity expert, which is very scarce right now. So what might be the top 3 challenges that faces tech recruitment today, and how might a recruiter be able to tackle them?
I mean, the first thing, like you said, is scarce, which shows, so you have to move them from a place they already have a job. I think that employment rate for them maybe is close to 0, maybe 3%, or 2%. So first of all, they're scarce. You have to find them. Second, you as a recruiter, you have to be able to understand what you're asking them. Because, I mean, I've been through with recruiters, either headhunting me or me headhunting others, and they try to headhunt for a high position, and they don't know what to ask. They're confusing things. So I think that as a recruiter, you have to know your subject to talk to them. So I cannot talk to a cybersecurity expert and ask, do you know how to use PowerPoint? I mean, the guy will start laughing. So or they say, do you have enough experience with I don't know, maybe some digital tools? I mean, this they do it. It's their bread and butter. So you have to find them. They're scarce. You have to know what you're asking. And the last part is that can you provide them the company that they want to work for? So when you try to find them, they will not say to you, how much is only the money? They will say to you, location, can I remote hybrid? Am I going to grow in the company? What is my future? So I give an example. In the past, I worked with a Norwegian company. We had cybersecurity experts. So these guys are like, it's like in the movies, like they're like gurus, They're like that, with the beard, they don't care, it's like the movies. So these people, if you want to drag them to another company, either they have to work for a startup and they're really passionate, or you have to give them a lot of freedom to work. So you have to create this kind of environment where they are willing to come in not only for the money, because the money they will find it. Yeah. So anyway, I don't know if I put this so scarce. You have to know what they're asking and give them an environment they're willing to work for.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting, because in order to be able to be fast enough to understand what the current trends are, and to be able to understand what to ask and what space you're playing in as a recruiter, you should be able to be on top of your game. And also sometimes this involves usage of automation tools for recruitment. So what kind of impact do you think, in terms of these challenges, what kind of impact do you think these recruitment technologies and tools can have on recruitment overall?
I mean, a way that it can be done, I mean, it's done already in many places. For example, I'll give you an extreme example. A few years ago, they started recruiting through, I think it was like WhatsApp, like 3-4 questions. Down in Australia, somebody was doing it. So you have to be able to detect very fast if you have a certain basic level. So one is, do you have technical skills? Do you have the teamwork skills we need? I mean, it depends on the job. You maybe have to be more communicative, or you have to have more empathy or less empathy, And are you willing to move? So technical skills, it's is easier because you have online tests. I mean, we will use, for example, in our case, for in Africa and in Europe as well, and in Asia, we use online online, we call it questionnaires. You can call them games to check the level. So what is your English level, for example? What's your technical skill in Java? So you can do this kind of testing. Then you have to go for maybe interviews or offline. For example, and probably you noticed there are many companies who says, can you give me a small video of yourself? So if I'm looking for a person to put in my team, and on the video the person cannot actually speak or cannot smile, then you start to worry. I mean, even if I have a good CV, or if the person is not very communicative. I mean, I know not everybody has to be communicative, not everybody is an extrovert, but at least to have the basic skills, the basic things. So this kind of basically asynchronous testing and asynchronous interviewing is very important. And then you can move to the live interviews, either through before was the phones. I mean, they still do it in the cruise, or a video. Let's have a small chat. And then you can go for the physical, because you may move people around different countries or different cities. And inside COVID times, even in the same building, or sorry, in the same city, you cannot move people. So you have to do remote, all this remote. So this kind of technologies help, but you have also to know that this will not take decisions for you. You have to take the decision. So these are just tools. You cannot discount a person because they couldn't smile in the first interview. But you have to make sure that maybe there's something wrong. Maybe you can do something. So you have to put your effort. I don't know if it helped you, this answer.
There's also the usage of artificial intelligence today, and the usage of more advanced tools for the recruiter to be able to streamline their hiring processes, because in the recruitment space you have plenty of different tasks to be done, etc. So in terms of productivity, in terms of high impact or results driven recruitment strategies, how might some of these technologies be useful?
I'll give you the one example, which is our extreme example. We have a company in Switzerland. So Switzerland is not a very big country, it's 3 million people, but it's quite important in terms of business. So a lot of high talent is concentrated, full of banks and finance and all this stuff, Also tech companies are there. Google, for example, they have big offices there. I've seen them. They use for research, And so we have a company there who is doing recruitment. It's very competitive there because the unemployment rate in Switzerland is about 4%, basically zero. So to find the good talent in this environment is very tough. So we have a team. When you say, I'm looking for an IT expert in this, so this team goes through our databases through a software. So the software does the matching based on multiple parameters and try to find you the good match. And then you go for the interview. So this kind of matching is like, say, AI is basically machine learning. So you give some parameters you think they're correct. However, the systems make mistakes. So you have to validate with a human. And these loops improve the system. So what is the validation? When you talk to the person, does it fit for the job that the machine found it for, advanced? So we have this company working there for about 2.5 years doing this, but many recruitment companies do this in the background. For example, when somebody uploads a CV in the system, and you may not be contacted is because your CV doesn't have the right keywords. Some things are smarter, some are not very smart. So you have to go through this process. So it's already today, this machine learning is happening as we speak across all the big, basically, websites and companies. So that's what I want to say. It helps, it helps to go in mass. So if you are a person who says, I want to apply for this job because I think I fit really for this job, then it would be a mistake. If you want to apply for jobs, you have to apply for multiple jobs that fit 70 to 100%, because as the machines are doing the statistics, you should do your own statistics. So my advice for that is, don't be an option. You have to have more options. So improve use technology on your own benefit. Don't just be waiting for somebody to tell you, you fit.
Yeah, it's great to know that the technologies and the recruiter as well, they play a very important role in ensuring that the right hire is made. Plus, you've got technology to supplement the kind of tasks that a recruiter would definitely have to do, and then they get to increase or amplify the kind of hire that they make, and they definitely are able to deliver the results for that. So that is how a lot of the use of technology, in fact, even cascades to the candidate experience. So the candidate experience is in many ways is enhanced because they know the outcome of their application much earlier because of these technological tools and all these solutions that are there for the recruiter. So in your experience, what might be some of the ways we can ensure candidate care throughout the recruitment process?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that always evolves, and it has two parts. One is the automatic part, and one is the human part. So that, for example, if you apply somewhere for a job, you may receive, thank you for your application, we'll come back to you in 5 days. That's very nice to know. I'll use a fancy word, the fancy expression we use now is like the user journey. It's like big thing, user journey. A user journey basically is like, okay, your interaction with somebody, what are the touch points? So if you know how they move around the process, from the moment they come to your website checking something, from the moment they apply, or the moment you talk to your recruiter, you have this kind of touch points. So at any moment, you have to have some kind of reaction which keeps them hot as a lead, okay? And also happy, because even if you don't find a job for them now, they may come back after 3 months or 4 months. So you have to be nice to people, it doesn't matter the result. So in this case, you have some points. So the product people usually, they go through and they say, okay, this is the digital flow and this is the physical flow that we interact with the users. If it's a traditional offline recruitment, then they will probably, it's only humans, I'll call you, then after 3 weeks I'll call you, they say I'll call you 2 weeks, I'll send an email in 5 weeks or whatever. But normally it should be this kind of automations to help the humans to go faster, because we're talking about scale, talking about big things. So the moment somebody comes to my website and identify this person, I have to react. Are you interested in that? Do you want some support? The second is that example, okay? The moment they apply for the job, say thank you very much, and we'll say usually this company replies in 3 weeks, or in 2 weeks. And if something happens to the process, we have to alert them. Oh, your profile has been checked, and now you are going to, you're going to receive something, coming up in a week. So this kind of interaction are very important. And at the end, when they go through the interview and the human get involved, or even before we start talking to you, it has to be a certain way that you talk to the person with scripts, very specific scripts. It has to be a certain way that you follow up and say, I will come back to you in 2 weeks, whatever happens, because you're a conduit as a recruiter between the supply and the demand. The supply is the recruiter and demand is the company. So you have to make sure that you keep them both hot. It's more of it's between art and technology. It's not exactly technology only, it's art. And this separates good from bad, because recruitment has been happening forever. And some companies now go up, some go down. It's because humans inside there try to understand and use better the tools. Tools on their own will not do the job.
Absolutely, because it's the candidate is after all the person. So a person requires that kind of interaction and that constant communication or timely communication, so that they have a better experience of who they've applied. They've taken time to apply, and therefore with recruitment technology, you are able to quickly give them an outcome and keep them in the loop, as you were saying. So keeping them warm and keeping them hot is definitely key. And you've had a vast experience. I really enjoy your share today on the kinds of things you've seen personally, in fact, even in the recruitment space today. So what advice would you give to someone starting out in recruitment today?
Okay, first you have to be able to you have to see if this fits you. For example, do you have empathy? Can you understand the person you talk to? And second, of course, like everything, do you understand technology? So, I mean, I'm going to use tools to communicate. You're going to use systems to find information and to communicate also again with this system. So you have to have the empathy. You have the willingness to help people to find jobs, because that's for me the big thing. Do you want to help people to find jobs or not? If you want that, it's fine. Don't go just for the money. You have to be able to find. If you want to be passionate, you help them, because the moment you do this, you will realize that you get a little happiness by doing that. So you have the empathy, you have the willingness, and you are also capable to understand technology. And maybe I can put a fourth one, which try to see what are the trends in your sector. For example, in the country you operate, in the city you operate, if you are, say, specialized in fintech, recruitment. Do you know what really means fintech? Do you know the trends? Do you specialize, for example, in I don't know, in agriculture recruitment? Do you know what it means? Do you know where it is? So you have to know your environment. You have to be alert. Like in every job, I suppose, in every job you have to be alert. You have to know your subject, basically. You have to like it, and you have to have the skills, technical skills to work with it. I mean, it's very generic. It can be for everybody.
These are great tips, because recruitment space is really undergoing a huge evolution in itself, because you've got so many channels to go through, you've got lots of technologies, and you've got many ways to recruit, especially today. So it's really wonderful to have you share that with us, Harry. I think we can go on talking about this for long times, but thank you very much for your time today, and it's been such a great pleasure having you on this show. So I'm sure the audience will want to know more about you and MyJobs as well, MyJobs Myanmar, as well as the African Talent Company. Where can they find you online?
Basically, I'm not big on Facebook. I just use WhatsApp and stuff. And I'm LinkedIn. It's very easy. If you put my family name and my first name, you'll see my picture there. Yeah. So LinkedIn actually is about recruitment, so it can be a competitor for me. Yeah. But it's a good place. I found jobs through that. Yeah. So find me on LinkedIn if you like. Google me. I put my name, and something will come up. Yeah.
Excellent. I will add you on LinkedIn too. I think we have communicated there as well. But thank you so much for your time, Harry. If there's anywhere else that they can find you, maybe on the YouTube channel or maybe the company as well.
The company basically in my jobs, if you contact and look for me, they will connect me. So if you ask for me, I mean, and if you don't even know, if you miss my name, say the Greek guy. I'm the only Greek in the company, I think. So there are not many around. We're a very small country. So it's very easy to find me. Harry Antarakis. I mean, it's a whole Greek name. Harry Antarakis. Very easy. Yeah?
Thank you so much. And we have been talking to Harry Antarakis, who is the CEO at MyJobs Myanmar and COO at the African Talent Company. So do look out for future podcasts from All in Recruitment, and stay tuned for our next episodes.